Years ago, I was a complete failure with women. I had multiple flings, multiple failed short-term relationships, and I was a complete degenerate. Flash forward, and I'm 19 and a young, married Christian man. And today I'm going to walk you through a short guide of stupidly simple, proven concepts that I implemented into my life that will help you find your future girlfriend, future wife that you can build your own family with. Let's get started. Right now, you're probably dreaming of a specific type of woman. She's feminine, she's loyal, she's supportive, etc., etc. But there are 3 reasons you can't attract her. First, you don't actually know who she is. Second, you have no idea where to find her. And third, even if you found her, you're not the type of man she's attracted to. In this video, I'm going to give you a stupidly proven system that answers those 3 questions, that fixes those 3 problems, and by fixing those 3 main problems, you will be able to actually find your wife. So let's cover problem number 1. You don't know the sort of woman you want. You can't attract your dream woman if you don't know who she is beyond nice and attractive, right? If that's all she is to you, then there's 100 women in the world that are nice and attractive. And I'm going to speak to you very vulgarly. Most of my life I've worked at a job where it's an international job. So pretty much it's an international school. People from all over the world come to learn English at the school. And the job is primarily female. Like the students that come are primarily female. There are objectively, now, not a lot of them not to me, but like if you were to take the objective beauty standards of the world, like, you know, the things you see on ads and stuff, there are a lot of objectively beautiful women that come into this school. And a lot of them are nice. I mean, they're rich, polite, educated women. They're nice. But I'm telling you, getting to know these students, they're not the sort of woman you'd want to marry or date. Drugs, multiple guys, degenerate outfits, gold-digging standards, a violent hate of the male sex and men in general. Just not the woman you want to be with. But if all you knew was nice and attractive, if that's all you cared about, you would probably get with one of them. You would definitely get with one of them. And you would live to regret it. You would ruin your life. In fact, I did this. I got with a girl that I used to have a crush on in 7th grade for 3 years. It was my only long-term relationship before my marriage. And she was attracted to me, and she was nice. And I liked her when I was younger. So when we met up again, we started dating. I'm not going to tell you all the story because it would be long, but she sent me to court at 16, 17. I was in court, threatened to jail if I didn't show up to the court. Her dad broke into my house. My door was broken off the frame, and I was choked in the corner of my own room. All to say that you should watch the sort of woman you want. You should know who you want beyond just nice and attractive. And so how do you do that? You do what I call the written vision exercise. What I want you to do is take a physical notebook right now, an actual pen and paper notebook, and I want you to write down 4 things about this woman. Now you can write multiple things, but 4 categories. Her personality, her values, her lifestyle. And this is going to offend any woman watching this. I don't know why the fuck you're a woman watching this video, but any woman watching this. Her history. What sort of personality and temperament do you want her to have? What sort of values do you want her to have? What sort of lifestyle do you want her to live? And what is her history? Where does she come from? What's her country? How many guys has she been with ideally? All of this. If I were to break this down, here's mine. Personality-wise, I want a submissive, kind, agreeable woman. Value-wise, I want her to have a deep understanding of Orthodox morality and Orthodox values. I'm an Eastern Orthodox Christian, so I would want to marry the same. Lifestyle-wise, I want her to live a simple life. I don't want her going out too much. I don't want her with too many friends. I don't want her doing too many things. And history-wise, I would like her to be Hispanic. I would like her to have a clean past, not dating any guys, not certainly sleeping and being with any guys. That's my ideal woman. And if I were to break down my wife, that's exactly who she is. Everyone would tell you that she's a very agreeable, kind-hearted, the nicest woman you'll ever meet. Everyone will tell you that she lives a very simple life. I mean, I live with her. She reads, she cleans, she cooks. She, looks at baby stuff. She lives a very simple, feminine life. I can tell you personally, and anyone can tell you, she has a relatively clean past for what we're dealing with nowadays. Like, yeah, she used to party with her friends when she was in 8th, 9th grade. Yeah, she has some prior, minor drug use, but I've had major drug use. I've had 6 relationships. I'm not going to think that she's going to be a saint. And she is Hispanic. She has she comes from the same general area as me, same culture, same ethnicity, same, heritage. And so my wife is exactly who I imagine. No kidding, because that's the whole point of the written vision exercise. And so I want you to fill out that list and then also write down the traits that are non-dynamic. So non-dynamic traits are just general traits that are positive and good in every person. So being nice is not a feminine or masculine trait. You want to be a nice person. Being respectful is not a it's not a masculine or feminine trait. It can manifest differently in men and women, but it's a general trait. And you want to think about the dynamic traits you want her to have. Okay, so you want her to be nice, respectful, these things that every person is. But you also want to think about the dynamic traits that are specific to women. You want her to be submissive, be agreeable, right? A man shouldn't be submissive. A man shouldn't be agreeable. Right? And the reason you want to do this for step number 2, right? Because once you write down your vision, right? Once you write down the woman you want, you fix problem number 1. You know the sort of woman you want to get with. But the second problem that arises is you don't know where to find her. You don't know how to get with her. And so a lot of you probably already know the sort of woman you want generally, like I said before, but you don't know where to find her. And then you go online and everyone's telling you, oh, well, actually, this sort of woman doesn't exist. So you buy that bullshit advice from a bunch of red pill dorks who don't know shit about marriage, who aren't married, who don't actually have a relationship that's longer than 2 months, who just go around and fuck everything that moves. And you take their advice like a complete idiot. And you give up on this and you go down their path. And then your life is miserable. You don't have to do that. Because the truth of the matter is that the woman you want, no matter who she is, does exist. She does exist. But you don't know where to find her. You're not looking correctly, and so you believe she doesn't exist. Right? If I put you in the middle of the jungle, are you going to find a polar bear? No. And if someone in the middle of the jungle came up to you and be like, well, polar bears don't actually exist, would you believe them? Yeah, because you haven't seen one. But do polar bears exist outside of the jungle? Yes, polar bears objectively exist. They just don't exist in a fucking jungle where it's 90 degrees and they would burn to death. Do you think a woman who's agreeable, who's kind, who's nice, are you going to find her on Tinder, on Bumble, at a party? Do you think you're going to find her there? No. And do you think you're going to find her? But would you find her at a church? Would you find her at a library? Would you find her at the park? Do you think the sort of woman you want, are you going to find her randomly on a night out at 12 p.m. at a block party in your town? Or are you going to find her at a park, writing in her journal under a tree on a Saturday morning? Where do you think you're going to find her? More likely to find her. Obviously, in the morning, writing on her journal. Obviously, in church. I mean, if you want a Christian woman, you're going to find her in church. Obviously, you're not going to find a Christian woman on Tinder. Obviously not. And yet this is where you're looking. You are like the guy who's in the jungle, who's being told there's no polar bears, they don't exist, and you're believing it because you haven't seen one, because you're looking in a fucking jungle. So how do you find out where you should look for a woman? Where do you find the woman you've dreamed up in your vision exercise? You position yourself in her world. So you sit there and you go, well, I want a woman that reads. I want a woman who exercises. I like a woman who likes to go outside and adventure. I want a woman who is a Christian, for me, an Orthodox Christian. I want a woman who's a traditional Christian. I want a woman who loves kids. You ask yourself then, what is her world? Well, where would a woman that likes to read, where would a woman that is an Orthodox Christian and loves the faith, where would a woman who loves nature and loves hiking, where would she be? She would be on a hike, you dumbass. She would be reading in a library. She would be in a church service at liturgy on Sunday morning and Saturday evening. That's where she would be. If you want to find the woman you want to find, position her in your world. This is how you make friends, by the way. If you want friends that are doing exciting things and that are trying to make more money and working online and are trying to push forward and are ambitious young men, are you going to find them on Discord playing video games? Or are you going to find them in that small community on school.com or on Telegram where they're all sitting there every single day and joining a massive Zoom call and talking about all their new ideas? Where are you going to find a productive young man in a productive young circle? Where are you going to find a submissive, agreeable young woman who likes to read and dresses traditionally? In a traditional place, in a traditional area, raised by a traditional family, in a traditional location, like a church, a library, or a park. This is how you find the woman you want. You position yourself in her world after you've broken down exactly who she is. But here's the thing. Even if you know the sort of woman you want, even if you know where to find her, you are not going to be able to attract her if she doesn't find you attractive. If you're not the man that she envisions when she's under the tree journaling, she's probably journaling about a guy as a woman do, I promise you. My wife has like 3 journals. They're all about me. Women journal about men all the time, by the way. If she's under a tree, she's journaling about you. If you're not that man she's journaling about, you're not going to be the man she gets with, because she's going to get with the man that she's imagining. Women have very strict standards, and they're stricter than men, and they're not willing to budge. And so you have to be the man that your vision woman, the woman you've imagined, is imagining. How do you do that? You use what I call the mirror method. And so this is where that first step of imagining the dynamic and non-dynamic traits, taking everything you've imagined and breaking it down to dynamic and non-dynamic traits. This is where it comes in. What you're going to do is you're going to make a list of those dynamic and non-dynamic traits. And the non-dynamic ones, you're going to just become them, right? You don't want to, just because you want a woman that's nice doesn't mean she wants someone that's mean. Just because you want a woman that's respectful doesn't mean she wants an asshole. These are general, universal traits that are good to have. You want to be those things. If you want a woman who reads, you want to read. A woman who reads doesn't like a man who doesn't read. I mean, she can, but she'd like a man more that reads, right? You don't want to go out of your way to oppose non-dynamic traits, because they're non-dynamic. They're non-opposing. So you adopt those non-dynamic traits just as she has them. Because a nice woman is going to be attracted to a nice man. But then the dynamic traits, you're going to flip. So if you said that you wanted a submissive woman, an agreeable woman, a quiet woman, well, a quiet woman is going to probably want an outgoing man, because quietness is a dynamic trait. It works in opposites. No friend group is full of just loud, outgoing people. There's always that one quiet guy that's quieter than the rest. In every relationship, there's somebody that's more assertive than the other. In every relationship, there's someone that's louder than the other. In every relationship, there's someone that's more disagreeable than the other. In every relationship, there's a leader and there's a follower, right? Take all the dynamic traits you want her to have and flip them. And then that's who you want to be. This list of non-dynamic, dynamic traits, that's who you become. And so when you do this, when you adopt the dynamic traits that she's going to want to find in a man, and you adopt the non-dynamic traits that she's just going to want because it reflects the sort of person she is, and then you start going into her world and you start going to the areas where she would be, and you know who you're looking for in these areas, do you think you're more likely to find your wife? Do you think you're more likely to find your dream partner than if you just went to a bar or went on Tinder or just started talking to any random girl you found, and all you wanted was, an attractive and nice woman, and you never bothered to ask yourself, what dynamic traits do I have to oppose and, mirror, and what non-dynamic traits do I have to have, because that's the sort of person she is, and she's going to want to be with that person. If you never thought about the 3 things I just told you, and you never solved those 3 problems, are you more or less likely to find a wife? Of course you're more likely. I can tell you because I'm married. The shit I'm telling you is not brainstorming like all these other fucking degenerates that are just in 100 relationships. They can't tell you how to find a real woman. They're not married. They have 1-week relationships and go fuck another woman because they're degenerate whores. These guys are not married. They don't know shit about what they're talking about. I am married, and I'm not married miserably. I am married to a woman that I am happy to wake up to every day. Do what I am telling you, and I promise you, you will find your wife. Now, if you want help becoming the dream man that actually attracts the dream woman, then join the Scent Light, because I have a bunch of free resources there every day. I do a free Q&A every single day. And very often, at least once a week, we do what I call hot seat. So I actually bring someone to talk with me one-on-one in front of everybody, and you can ask me whatever questions, tell me whatever you want, and I will give you whatever advice I see fit for the situation to help you maximize. So if you want one-on-one support to help you maximize your life. So if you want one-on-one support with whatever issue you're dealing with, plus a kick-ass community of men that are young and care about their blood and their faith and actually moving their goals forward for God. And if you want free resources and courses at no cost to you, at no risk, join us at Light.